Cut.
Hello, welcome back. It is Wednesday, March 18th. We're going to go over today's assignment as well as review some things here. So, yesterday, your job was to take a quiz, principally, and answer a discussion question through both the links I sent. Status update on that. 16 out of 30 of you have done your quiz. Remember, there's a quiz grade. You need to make sure you get that done as soon as possible. These people who did it before midnight will be receiving a slight amount of extra credit. Secondly, the discussion board, which was a pretty straightforward assignment, very easy to complete, I think. Only 10 out of 30 people did it, so 33%. So even amongst the people who took the quiz, there's 6 people who decided to not do the second part of the assignment. We're making sure we're on top of this. We're getting this done. Again, this is your actual classwork. This is graded. This isn't just some nonsense, right? On the subject of your grades, they're now up to date as of yesterday. So everything except those 2 assignments I just mentioned, to give you some more time to finish those, is in the grade book and updated. So that should reflect what your grade actually is in this class as of this moment. So I'm going to give you more time to do those 2 tasks, the discussion board and the quiz. Please make sure you do that. There are at least 3 of you who have yet to even send me a tadpole. I don't know if you're okay. I hope you're okay and you're able to do your work and able to respond to these prompts. Today we're going to talk about 3 rhetoric terms. So it's going to be very similar to how we did it in class, hopefully. I'm going to give them to you. You're going to write them down, hopefully, in your notebook, and you're going to get some practice doing those. So, yes, is that a question? Yeah, Mr. Joe, how do you expect me to take notes without having anything on the board to take notes with? So our first rhetorical term today might be our hardest to pronounce yet. It is known as the schisis onomaton. So, the schisis onomaton is a rhetorical technique used to emphasize an idea by repeating it rapidly using slightly different words that have the same or very similar meaning. So it's not to be like an exact definition, right? Think of our synonym games. Sometimes they're a little bit different than they would be before. So to give you some examples of what I mean, right? I could say she was fast asleep, not conscious, completely in dreamland, slumbering, right? I could say he was the nicest man I ever met. Kind, caring, polite, friendly, courteous, empathetic. In both those examples, right, really I'm saying the same thing many times to drive a point home, right? I could say that Mr. Joe is kind of a lunatic, right? Off his rocker, unwell, lost his mind long ago, is asking himself questions with a fake hand just to try and simulate a class-like environment. All these really are saying the same thing, right? Mr. Joe is crazy, that dude was really nice, that girl was sleeping, right? So that is schisis onomaton. Our second example is anachronism. This is one of my favorite ones, especially in practice. So anachronism is basically, comes from the word chronology, like chronism. Anachronism rather, is an error in chronology in a timeline or a literary piece. So in other words, it's anything that is out of time and place for the setting is an anachronism. So that could be unintentional, right? Like in the play Julius Caesar, a character tells him to check his clock, even though clocks had not yet been invented in Roman times as we know them today, globally, right? Or in the play Hamlet, where Hamlet says he studies at a university that will not be founded for another 200 or 300 years after the play is set. So this tells us, one, that maybe Shakespeare is just lazy, or he's actively trying to take things out of their time and put them in another. I think in this case, he was probably just being lazy. But you can also do this intentionally, right? Like, for example, in the movie version of The Great Gatsby we saw some of last year, in the 1920s, there's not hip-hop. Jay-Z isn't making music in the 1920s. Yet, in the context of this movie, that is an anachronism. It's used intentionally out of context to juxtapose something about the setting, to make things seem weirder than they are, or to highlight something specific. Maybe you might see a Civil War movie or a Revolutionary War movie where they're using machine guns or they're using tanks to try and highlight something, maybe say something about the time in which those those weapons are used today, or maybe just for like to knock the viewer off kilter, right? Any of those things are anachronism. It even works the other way. Like we could set a book, I could write a book set in 2020, right? But there could still be dinosaurs roaming the streets eating people. Anachronism works both ways. Usually, elements from the future are put onto the past. However, it can work the other way, where elements of the past are brought into the future, but that's much less common. Our last rhetorical term for today, and again, I'm going to butcher how it's said because I do not speak Greek. Apophoresis. Apophoresis. You know, we're not in class. You're going to have to say it, right? So apophoresis is a rhetorical device wherein the speaker or writer brings up a subject by either denying it or denying that it should be brought up at all. So it's a type of irony. Right? And if you'll notice by that definition, by bringing something up to say it shouldn't be brought up, that is one, ironic, and two, still brings the thing up. So, right, I could sit here and be like, I'm not going to argue with you that you're bad at your English work, right? Because it's not fair to you. I'm not going to bring that up. I'm not going to talk about how you're failing my class. It's not fair. It's not fair to you, so I won't bring it up. That's a rhetorical device where obviously I've brought up the thing I don't want to say. I've said the critique while trying to sort of shield myself from a little bit of that, like, backlash of it. I said, you are bad at AP literature, right? Whereas, I'm like, I'm not going to bring that up because it's not fair to you, right? I'm still saying that you were, but I'm trying to blunt it, so to speak. And this this happens a lot in real life, especially in politics. You can see it. Like, I'll give you some examples just from the current president. So the United States President Donald Trump frequently employs apophoris. In 2015, Trump said of fellow Republican presidential candidate and former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina, I promised I would not say that she ran Hewlett-Packard into the ground, that she laid off tens of thousands of people, and that she got viciously fired. I said I will not say it, so I will not say it, which is, of course, ironic and apophoris because he just said it, right? He's trying to shield himself from that. Another example, in 2016, he tweeted of journalist Megyn Kelly, I refuse to call her a bimbo because that would not be politically correct. Again, by refusing to call someone and then the thing, you're just doing the thing, right? Finally, another example from president. In 2017, as president, he tweeted, the leader of North Korea, why would Kim Jong-un insult me by calling me old when I would never call him short and fat? Which, of course, is just calling him short and fat. So that is an example of apophosis. You see it all the time in politics. Those are our three new literary terms for today. I want you to consider those, as well as the ones we've already talked about, to do today's assignment. Today's assignment, you're going to be doing seven example sentences. So 7 example sentences, 3 of which should be those ones I just told you about. The other 4 can be any of the other rhetorical devices from your notes that we talked about previously, right? So you're going to do 7. You're going to label them so I know which one you're doing, and you're not just writing words and being like, yeah, it's probably a rhetorical device in there somewhere or something. And you're going to email them to me, to my email, which you should all know by now, because with one exception, I've taught you for 3 years. But in case you don't have it, it is mrjoefrieri@gmail.com. 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 So make sure you send that to me. Make sure you keep reading your novel and doing any of the online work you haven't yet gotten to. Tomorrow at noon, at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to do a live stream. So basically, I'll just be chilling here, probably reading. And if you have any questions, you can ask them to me in the chat, and I will respond to them in real time. So for around noon tomorrow, for probably like an hour, I'll be chilling here at the desk, making sure that any questions you have will be answered, or if you just want to say hello. That's all I have for you today. Have a great day. Make sure you turn in this assignment, any assignments you may have missed, and stay safe.